Fox 10 Phoenix starts now.
To the Fox 10 News Alert, a brush fire still smoldering in this area. Actually, it was a little earlier this morning. It is now out. It was in the north part of the valley near the Black Canyon Freeway and Dixoletta. Phoenix Fire just sharing the info with us, but they do say crews are going to stay on scene for a while longer now just to monitor hot spots. They say that no homes were threatened and that nobody was hurt. On to another Fox 10 News Alert. Crime scene tape is up circling a Target parking lot in Glendale after a shooting involving federal agents.
Dominique Newland live this morning near 43rd Avenue in Peoria with the latest. Dominique.
Guys, good morning. Definitely not a scene you hear about every day. Things starting to calm down currently, but that wasn't the case just hours ago and into those overnight hours as well. So what we're seeing right now is law enforcement officials, they are starting to wrap up this scene as this is a busy shopping plaza parking lot. So shoppers will be coming here soon in just a couple of hours. So they're starting to take some of that crime scene tape down that was surrounded. We're at this Target to the right of this whole parking lot. They have cleared up those crime scene markers that have been out here for hours now, and details still limited at this time. But we did receive a statement from the DEA last night, and they said that agents were conducting some type of law enforcement situation here that resulted in a shooting incident with a suspect. So the Arizona Department of Public Safety, DPS, they are now leading the investigation into this. Glendale PD also on scene, but they're just assisting with this investigation. And the DEA says they will not comment further as the situation is still being investigated. But what you can see from what this scene looked like earlier, several crime scene markers on the ground. We saw some cars that may have been involved as well with their trunk up. Some had their driver's side or passenger side door open, and investigators were kind of going in and out of there, taking photos as well. We saw law enforcement official drones over top of the scene due to just how big this crime scene is. So as far as a suspect or a suspect being detained, that information is still not clear at this time. Hopefully we'll hear something a little bit later on this morning. But once again, 43rd Avenue, Peoria Ave is where we're at right now. But from the looks of it, it does look like law enforcement officials are starting to clean up the scene. So if you are headed out here this morning, just keep that in mind. Things should start to wrap up if you do have some plans on shopping this way. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Dominique, thank you. Let's get right to this story. Second shooting involving DEA agents in less than 1 month. Skyfox overhead. In November, agents shot a man they were attempting to arrest in a Walgreens parking lot at 43rd Avenue in McDowell. The agents were not hurt, but that person who was shot died at a hospital. 2 other people were arrested. DPS is also handling this investigation.
Several animals at the Wildlife World Zoo in Litchfield Park have died after contracting the bird flu.
The West Valley Zoo is now quarantining animals to stop the spread of the virus. Administrators say the zoo was already on high alert for bird flu. We're also told that the virus didn't start with animals from inside the zoo, but from wild birds. That's because it's migration season and bird flu spreads through bird droppings. There have been 6 positive tests: a cheetah, mountain lion, swampfiend, Andean goose, and kookaburra. They all died. A white tiger is also said to be in quarantine and recovering. The park is now working to contain the spread.
Happened very fast. From the first confirmed case, within a couple of days, it had come through. It had taken the lives of 5 of our animals. Can be transmitted from animal to animal pretty rapidly. It's a virus that comes in fast. Fortunately, it usually leaves pretty quick.
The zoo remains open. There is a temporary hold on interactive experiences between humans and animals. Bird flu can spread to people, but those are very rare.
Fox 10 also learning that the bird flu has been detected in wastewater in Coconino County. These pics from the city of Flagstaff. Health experts collected samples at the Rio de Flag and at the Wildcat Hill reclamation plants. The source of the virus is suspected to be from chickens and wild birds. So far, there are no reports of human or animal cases in Coconino County. This comes, though, after the first human cases of bird flu were reported in Arizona just last week. State Health says that 2 patients were exposed at a commercial facility that had infected poultry. Now, the symptoms were described as mild. Both have recovered. So far, there is no evidence of human-to-human transmission, but there's also no word when any type of solution to this or vaccine might eventually be made available. Well, new details this morning on a lawsuit brought by protesters who'd been wrongly charged as gang members back in 2020.
Maricopa County agrees to a $6 million settlement. The Board of Supervisors unanimously approving the payout. The DOJ found protesters' rights were violated during the department's investigation into the Phoenix Police Department. The protesters say they were wrongfully arrested and prosecutors fraudulently charged them with several crimes. All charges were eventually dismissed. The protesters are still suing the city of Phoenix and its police department. Well, one step closer now to resuming executions in our state.
Last year, Governor Katie Hobbs appointed a retired judge, David Duncan, to conduct an investigation into the state's procedures. Eventually, he was dismissed, but Hobbs says she is now confident in a separate review by the Department of Corrections, finding that executions of convicted killers, some of whom have been on death row for 2 decades or longer, can now finally move forward. Still, there are critics.
There are flaws in the system. The last thing the governor should be doing is pushing forward to kill people before those flaws are fixed.
And of course, when we're talking about killing people, the people who are going to be executed in the coming years are those who have been convicted of, in many cases, especially heinous killings. Arizona's Attorney General Chris Mays says her office is moving forward on an execution warrant for Aaron Gunches. He's now in his 50s. He was convicted of the murder of his victim, Ted Price, 22 years ago. This is a Fox 10 News Alert. You're looking live at pictures coming in from a shooting scene right around 23rd Avenue and Utopia. It is right across from, and where you see the crime scene tape set up, Deer Valley Park in North Phoenix. Police say the shooting happened late last night. One man was rushed to the hospital, but he's since died. Police remain on the scene. They're asking folks to avoid the area while the investigation proceeds.
Across Arizona, many high school students are facing some big decisions about their future. And mom and dad, grandparents, we're talking about you as well. For many, one of the biggest decisions that they will make is what next step they will take in their educational journey. Applying to colleges and figuring out how to pay for it. As many of us know, this can be very stressful. So what can you do to help prepare your children for higher education? Joining me this morning is Matt Smith with PHX College Counseling here in studio. Matt, good morning.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. We were chatting on the phone and you are a wealth of knowledge. I think you know so much more about this than so many of us do. Talk about this, the partnership you were telling me with some of the universities in the western portion of the United States.
Sure. Arizona is part of an organization called the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, or WICHE. There are 15 states that participate in that organization, and they offer a tuition exchange program. So students from the state of Arizona can go to any of those other 15 states. There is a limit to about 160 colleges and universities, all public institutions. But what that allows is for them to pay no more than 150% of in-state tuition. So with that tuition exchange, students from Oregon can come to schools in Arizona and vice versa. And on that website, you can find all the information that is there. It's not for every campus, so make sure that you go through and look at those things. But the tuition is capped at 150%. So if a student from Arizona were to go to, say, Indiana or Michigan, they could pay 2 to 3 times the in-state tuition there. But with this organization, it's capped at 150% of the tuition.
So let's talk about maybe let's start with grants. How do you know whether or not you qualify?
Sure. The first step in any financial aid process is to fill out the FAFSA. So the free application for federal student aid was just released earlier this month for next year's cycle. So that's the first step. No matter where you go or what you're looking to apply for, you have to fill that out. The next step is to do your research. So you can do a search engine search for scholarships that are out there. There are lots of different companies that produce these research areas, scholarship pages, and go through, find the ones that you think you qualify for. Apply for everything. There's no harm in doing that. It takes a little bit of time, but all they can do is say no.
You know, when I've done like a simple, we have a high school senior, a simple Google search, you get so many different websites and companies. How do you know which one is best and how to sift through them?
So the U.S. News and World Report website has a great listing of the top 15 scholarship searches. And you can go through there. FastWeb is one, Niche is another one that are out there. And they aggregate all this information into one central location. So never pay for a scholarship application. That is a red flag. So if they're asking you to pay $10, $15 to apply for something, don't do that. Any scholarship provider is not going to ask you for money for them to give you money.
And what if you don't know where your student is going to go just yet, and you're applying for these scholarships, and you think, how much money do we need, or grants? Should you just apply for everything? And what if you receive more than maybe the tuition calls for?
Each campus holds that differently as far as the way that they will reprocess your financial aid. So some institutions say whatever your need is according to the FAFSA, that's what you're going to get regardless of any outside grants that come in. So it may reduce your campus given aid based off of the extra aid you get from outside. Other campuses say, congratulations, you can stack that, you can use that for books, you can use that for room and board, you can use that for your sophomore year instead of just your freshman.
Oh wow, so you can push that forward a little bit.
Correct.
If families are out there and they want to reach you, Matt, how can they? Because you have been great and wealth of knowledge. Thank you.
So my website, phxcollegecounseling.com, is where they can reach me, the easiest way to do that. And I selected PHX as my name because, you know, the important part is visiting campuses. Go out, you're going to spend 4 years at this campus if you're a traditional student. Go visit the campus in person. You're going to live there for a long time.
Yeah, that is very wise, and I'm glad you mentioned it. One mom told me that her son, and this can get pricey depending on where you travel, but they went to 30 different colleges, which is a huge number.
That's a big number.
But she said that he ended up going to the U of A, which is in Tucson.
That's great.
But he found out that going out of state wasn't for him.
Yeah.
You know.
That is the important part. You know, looking online, doing your research online, obviously a great first step, but seeing it in person. You know, can you live in this community with the people that are around you? That's the biggest part.
And if you have a teenage daughter, do they have a Sephora nearby? I'm sure that's what they're asking.
Or Lulu as well.
Thank you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Matt, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, happy holidays.
Thank you, you as
Merry
well.
Christmas.